Hey everybody, I'm just going to show you a little video here of some CTE footage of Battlefield 4, and I'm going to talk about something a little bit different here. It's not actually has to do with this, but at the same time it kind of does. There's been a pretty big leak, I'm sure some of you have seen it, about the new Battlefield title that's most likely not being made by DICE. Battlefield Hardline. That's the actual logo. It has been found, and quite a few other things have been found about this. Now, for some time there's been a rumor of a game where it's a SWAT-based Battlefield, where you're basically a SWAT team versus robbers, bad guys of some sort. And this game is looking to be it right here. This is going to basically be cop versus robbers. And there's an actual picture of somebody's found of the game. It might be a loading screen, no one really knows what that is, but that's a little teaser what it's going to look like. So far the consensus is that the game's going to be very small teams, good versus bad, cops versus robbers, SWAT versus terrorists, who knows. But it's going to probably be a very small team just because there's a few things that kind of give this away. And, if you don't know, this game kind of is maybe the EA's answer to the Counter-Strike series, or perhaps a little bit of Payday mixed in there. No one quite knows yet. We're probably going to see this here at E3, here in the next couple of weeks. Now, here's some of the vehicles that have been found in the code from Battlelog, and most of these vehicles happen to have a very low capacity. Some of them you can hold a few people in it, more than you would normally have in, like, say, that Charger police car. But I'm going to guess it's going to be a small team-based game just because most of these vehicles aren't suited for a large number of people. I could easily be wrong on that. No one really knows yet, but I'm just going to think it's a smaller-based game. And here you go. Here's all the weapons that are currently been found in the Battlelog code. You have an AK, which looks like a little bit of extended magazine. You have some anti-air. You got a riot shield. You got a baseball bat, C4. What looks like it'd be an EpiPen for an adrenaline shot. And you got some very standard things. And you have a few other things that are a little bit different. Like, for instance, you have a grappling hook and a crossbow in there. That's a little different. And you also have a stun gun. Are you going to stun people to make them less aware? Who knows? And the one thing there beside the bayonet and the AR, what the hell is that? Is that kind of a motion beacon or some kind of explosive device? I'm not even sure what that is. The only thing I do know is you have quite a variety there. You have an LMG, you have a revolver, a stun gun, a bayonetta, a knife. Come on, there's a little bit of everything right there. And I'd like to see how this is going to play out. Now, with that variety, you also have a variety in classes. You have 4 different setups. This is going to look pretty common to you if you've been playing the Battlefield series at all. You have the operator, the mechanic, the enforcer, and the professional. And, you can pretty much figure what does what here. But that's what's been found in the files so far. And there's no real surprises, I guess, other than they are returning to that class-based setup and not like more of a free open thing like, some other games do. Now my question is one person always going to have to play as one of those classes, or is it going to be just up to the user? Like, say, Team Fortress, where you have your own pre-built class, and that one has just very specific things you can use. Or is it going to be something like a little bit more like Battlefield, where you can use somewhat the same weapons, but the gadgets are going to be different between classes? Who knows? No one's probably going to know for the next couple of weeks here. They've also found different attachments. Nothing too surprising here. You have your basic assortment of different scopes, flashlights, lasers, hand grips. The only thing that stands out a little bit is right there in the second row there towards the left you have some ammo. And is that going to be extra ammo? Is it going to be extended magazine? I don't really know. And then there's this stuff. I don't know, what this all really has to do with the game. But at the same time, most of this looks like it might be a class-specific stuff. You have a wrench, you have a fire extinguisher, you have what looks like a heatsink for a freaking GPU. I don't really know what this is all going to be used for, but it has been found in the games. I apologize if all these images are pretty small. I'm blowing up quite a bit to get them to fit in this video. They're all fairly low-quality images. And on top of all that, you also have the awards. Now, these things look just like the medals we have in Battlefield. I'm going to guess they work the same way. You have some for kills, some for assault rifle, sniper ribbons. You also have your LMGs, carbines, shotguns, and what I'm going to guess is for making arrests. And then they get a little bit different here. You get some for making money, I'm going to assume, for a grappling hook. Who knows what some of these last ones actually mean. And I'm sure we're going to find out very soon, like I said. Now that we've covered all those little images, there's also a couple other things that's been found out about this. A couple things are a couple of modes that have been announced. One's called Blood Money. I don't know what that actually is going to be about at all. And there's all kinds of different games that use different variations of modes. And, you know, right now it'd all be speculation, I guess. But, and there's also a mode called Heist. That one's fairly obvious what that's going to be. And I'm sure it's going to have things like Team Deathmatch on there, Deathmatch probably. But those two kind of stuck out to me. Now, I kind of touched upon this in the very beginning of the video. I don't think DICE is working on this. It's been fairly well rumored for a while. Visceral is actually working on this game and not DICE. And it's kind of apparent because they have found the Visceral logo in with these files mixed right in there with them. And it kind of makes sense. DICE is currently working on Mirror's Edge 2, which I'm very wishing it would be out already because I love the hell out of that game. And there's also is working on the Star Wars Battlefront, which I'm sure I'm gonna love to death because I did like the old one. Is even though I didn't get to play it all that much, so it's pretty unlikely they're also working on this new Hardline game. I'm thinking they're using just the Battlefield name to help sell it, and just because they're using the Frostbite engine, it's going to look somewhat familiar to the Battlefield series, and it's just a way to drum up sales. Hopefully the game turns out to be very fun. Counter-Strike was a great game. It's still a great game. I'm not somebody that plays it all that often. I played it a little bit years ago, and to me it hasn't changed much, and that's one of the reasons I don't play it today. But at the same time, I know that's why people still play it today. They love that same old classic gameplay that's been going on forever, and it does take a little bit of skill to be very good at that game. Of course, one of the other angles is this is basically EA's new Call of Duty killer, whatever the hell you want to call it. Battlefield, I think it's a lot better than Call of Duty. Call of Duty's been kind of shit, my opinion, for a while now. And Battlefield was always supposed to be this Call of Duty killer, but they're not exactly the same type of game for the same type of person. And maybe this new Battlefield Hardline is their little answer to it. And maybe it's not so SWAT based, and there's a lot more team deathmatch based into it. We're just not reading into yet, just because we're seeing all this cops versus robbers thing, so we're thinking it's a little bit different. Don't really know. So far, the rumors suggest it is more of a Counter-Strike or Payday style game, but it's to be seen yet. And just because it says SWAT doesn't necessarily means it's going to be a SWAT based thing where it's running in a team. They might be just using the SWAT just like they're using the Battlefield to draw people into it. My question is, where's this going to really fall into it? I knew there was a reason why Battlefield 4's DLC was going to finish by this holiday season, because as Battlefield 3, I'm sure many of you are aware that the DLC stretched over 2 years just in time for Battlefield 4. And going back, way back, Battlefield 4, from the very beginning we knew the DLC was all popping in the next year. And that right away tells us, well, there's definitely going to be a new game. It's pretty obvious. And I knew there had to be something other than Titanfall, because Titanfall came out a little too soon. And at the same time, I always thought, well, Titanfall probably has to be it. You think DICE would have said something by now, or EA. And it kind of makes sense that EA is having a new company make the new next, I don't even want to call it next gen, because this thing's going to actually be on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. This is going to be another cross-gen game. Sorry, everybody. But, I know EA needed that another first-person shooter for the Christmas season, which kind of surprised me. They didn't actually want to put Titanfall off for this Christmas and have a little bit extra to it. I guess it just didn't work out that way, or they had already planned to have this game quite well in advance. So what do you think? Are people going to flock to this, or are they going to sit there and keep playing Battlefield 4, since hopefully at this point it's actually fixed and done, and these CTE little bits they're improving on actually go live and the game's actually working very well? Or are people going to continue to sit there and play Titanfall? Or maybe the next Call of Duty won't be crap? You know, I kind of doubt it, but you know, maybe it'll actually be a good game once again. And if you think about it, there's going to be quite a bit of big AAA first-person shooters coming out this year, or still continue to be fairly popular. You have Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, you have this new Battlefield Hardline, you have Titanfall, you have Destiny, you have The Division, you get the Halo 5, the Unreal Tournament, and you still have people playing Counter-Strike and Team Fortress. There's a million of them. And you know, is the market get oversaturated? I know there has to be some limit to how many first-person shooters people want to keep pouring time into. And I know anymore, you know, people do love their first-person shooters, but there has to be some kind of limit in how many there's going to be at some point, I would think. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people will just flock to all these different games at once. It seems like quite a stretch when everything's a first-person shooter anymore. So what do you guys think? Are you going to be into this new Battlefield game? Is it too much too soon? Should it be 2 years in between a Battlefield title? Or do you think it's being a little too Call of Duty-esque, being a yearly title anymore? And I'd really like to see what you guys think. And as I'm actually reading this and doing this video, sure enough, there's more info about Battlefield Hardline. It's going to be shown June 9th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to see it here at EA. And the info is just flowing out on this title. And I'm sure by the time I post this, there's going to be even more known. If you enjoyed my video, I would appreciate you hitting that like button. And also please subscribe. And here on the left, I have an MTAR review. And on the right, I have the UMP45 review. And thank you guys for all the support you have been giving me. I really do appreciate it. And please comment down below on anything and what you think about this. Bye.